What's happening, guys? Johnny Glock here. Hey, listen, I hope you enjoyed the first part of our Glock performance trigger video, and now we are following it up with part 2, and there's going to be some very, very, very cool stuff happening here. First and foremost, I wanted to mention that I had just gotten that trigger in. Literally just got it in. And, you know, and that's why when I threw the VEX in there, you know, I'm like, let's see if this works, because I was just so excited. And I made a comment, I didn't think that that would exist without the Timney tech. And, you know, some people were like, well, you know, had some stuff to say about that, you know, it's patent stuff and all that. But let's put it this way. I stand by what I said. But after, you know, messing around with this trigger, going total, you know, Glock wizard on it, trying to figure everything out and get into it, like, I can definitely say that this trigger absolutely has improved on majorly on safety and functionality. You know, so what we've been seeing with the Timneys is you know, light strikes, the actual receiver sitting in a certain way where there's engagement issues. So you've had some slam fires. You know, basically do a search and you can see exactly the issues that that people have been having. That's why Timney came up with their own striker, because the Glock striker has kind of like a half moon shape down there at the bottom, and that's what they thought was hitting on the I don't know if it's better to see that way. It's kind of a half moon shape right there, kind of goes like that. And so the Timney striker is actually flat, because it was coming across the crossbar. It was kind of snagging that, and then that was causing a little stall. One of the things that was causing light strikes, and the other thing is the vertical extension was not disengaging the firing pin safety enough. So with this trigger, you just don't have those issues. I mean, it's Glock. Glock has the recipe. You know, they have the plus minus with all their stuff. They never fail. They just don't. Glock, well, you know, OEM. That's why 99.9% of my stuff is Glock OEM, because it works every time. So with that little thing said right there, I wanted to get that out of the way. Man, this is an amazing product. It really is. Some of the cool things about it that I think is very interesting, you know, is it's a full unit. That's where they win. You know what I mean? Whereas the Timney was just something you had to install in the receiver. They can control. That's why when people ask me, hey, should I just get the shoe, or should I do this or should do that? I say, especially with me, always get the full kit, because when you get the full drop-in kit, I have more control over all the metal to metal edges. There's just way more in the realm of tolerances that I can control. So, you know, when you're saying, man, I might save $100 by just buying a shoe and a connector and a striker, it's not worth the money. Getting the full kit is the way to go for several reasons. And that's why this right here, being an entire assembly, trumps the componentry of the Timney setup. So basically, you know, one of the cool things about this is it's a pivot system. You know, this whole thing has this actual little piece, so I can get very specific with you, right here. This has the ability to meet that striker flush no matter what, because it can move. It's actually mobile. Whereas with the Timney, that's a stagnant, stationary part. This thing, it actually interfaces with the striker in a better way. Also, I think the angle right here is better suited for riding over top of the striker. Also, the divot inside of there where they set, where I, like in the last video where I said that totally eliminates any of the possibility of the striker engaging the crossbar right there. And like I said, the vertical extension, it's a Glock part, so you can bet your life on it. You can bet your life on it, let's put it that way. So, like I said, it's a performance trigger. We did some things last time. So like I said, this setup right here is definitely improved on safety, and it has improved on function. Now, when I say function, I mean the way things work together. I'm not talking about action. Okay, so I improved the performance of the Timney with some products that I came out with. All right, and that's exactly what this video is here to show you today, is how this can be improved upon by a you know, a trigger shoe that I designed, and we're going to kind of just get into that right now so I can show you guys this amazing product. And the best way to do that is to compare, you know, compare apples to apples. So what we have here is we have 3 setups. We have the stock performance Glock trigger just dropped right in, right out of the box. Here we have the Glock performance, everything from here back, except we have my VEX proprietary shoe on there that has a actual set screw in the back to control the over travel. Okay, it's got minimized pre-travel to a safe distance. It's got 0 over travel, and that's going to be the biggest part about this equation. And it's got a short reset, and because of this design with the Timney, how it's pushing it forward, because it's designed with the Glock, how it's this spring tension right here is pushing that, constantly pushing that forward, you have a much better reset than what the Timney Alpha actually offers. The third setup is, because this is a quote performance trigger, I would never recommend carrying this trigger out of the box as is. There's just not enough wall, in my opinion. There's not enough predictability. A good adrenaline dump and you're going to blow right through it. You know what I mean? There's just not enough predictability. So in the same way, when I viewed the Timney Alpha and said, hey, I can make this into a more viable carry option, I added another component to that to give it a stout wall. And I tell you what, with this actual offering with the plus connector and my shoe with the everything here back the same on the Timney, it is going to be the pretty much closest to a 1911 you can get. And with that, the break weight raises, and so that's important too. You know what I mean? You got to have that. Anything in the 3-pound range, and I get there's the professionals out there that'll say, hey, that doesn't matter. That's great. I'm saying from my experience and a lot of interactions I've had with LEO, SF, departments, agency guys, they're like, you gotta have a little bit of weight behind that trigger, because you start cooking things off. Just get a light trigger, get a competition trigger, and start running it and gunning it. And you'll see, just see how many times you cook one off by accident when you don't mean to. It's pretty humbling. So we're gonna compare these. And so first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take this out of the box. And I love to do this tape thing because it's a very good representation, a visual representation of what's going on. We're going to see that the gun is clear. And first thing we're going to do, and you can see I have this set up so the back of the shoe right there is lined up with the line. It's the back of the shoe. So when I pull here and I take up let me get that out. I take up the take-up, you can see, I'm saying you can blow right through that. So I'm trying to take as much take-up out of it as I can. And now there I'm at a wall. It's kind of a faux wall, you know what I mean? Because like I said, you saw me blow right through it because it is a 3-pound trigger and it has a very obtuse connector in there, and we'll talk about that. So when I go to break the shot, that's all the more it moves. But because of the design of the system, just like the Timney, once this gun is racked, it goes further back. So your true reset is not right from that break. Your true reset now is all the way back out to there. So pre-travel, I have a hard time okay, pre-travel, break. Reset goes all the way back, as you can see. Now coming forward, coming forward, coming forward, coming forward. So that is, that's in my opinion, that's not performance. You know what I mean? Same thing with the Timney. It's got an awesome break, but a trigger is much more than the break. You have to factor everything in the action. So we're going to move over to see what the VEX shoe does on this. So basically, as you can see, these lines are quite different. We're going to compare them right next to each other so you can basically see. Big difference in performance. And so we're going to do the same sort of drill here with this one. Maybe you can get on this side of me so I don't have to. There we go. So basically with this one, we're taking the point of the trigger, not the back of it, the point, because it's the easiest thing to see. So once I, there we go, that's better. The point, once I disengage the trigger safety tab, I'm now at that faux wall right about there, okay? And then when I go to break the trigger, actually, that's why I blew through the wall. It wasn't racked. Sorry about that, guys. All right, so right there's the wall. I was wondering why that was feeling weird. So there's your wall right there, point to point. You can see point, point. Go to break the trigger, point is right there at the third line. However, with this design, when I go to rack the slide, it does not move back any further. It stays exactly where it was. That point is exactly on that line. So when I go to reset, it's a very short reset, break. So slide, it doesn't move, reset, break. And you can see it is lining up completely with this pre-travel, break, still, reset. So once again, compared to these two, it's a no-brainer, guys. You know what I mean? Like the performance that this VEX shoe, and I'm calling it the Glock Performance Trigger VEX shoe upgrade. It's on the website right now. And what I'm offering that with is because, like I said, because it's very easy to just blow through that. All right, very, very easy. Once we change up the geometry and incorporate this plus connector, and I'll show you why. I drew this yesterday. We were going to shoot this video yesterday. We decided not to. Okay, so this is a dot connector. See the little dot mark on there? Can you see that, Wick? Right there. Yep. There's a dot, and that has a plus. That shows you the two different types of connectors. And if you look at them from the back, they're very, very different angles. Hopefully you're getting that in. Maybe I should turn it this way. So I'm going to put one underneath the other so you can see the difference in the angles is very, very, very profound. Okay, I think it's almost like a 13-degree difference. So if I would set these here correspondingly to show you what's going on with these angles and how they work the way they work, when this trigger bar comes and hits that angle, basically, let's say it this because it's easier to draw, it goes down very in an obtuse way. So it hits it and there's no, that's why you don't get a wall, because it's very sloped. You know, it's called an obtuse angle. So it hits it and goes like that. You don't have much resistance. With this one, because of the way it's angled, when the bar comes back and hits that, you can see it has a hard stop. So it's hitting that right there, and then it has to drive it down quickly. But it's more of an acute angle, so basically it's giving you that resistance that you need. So most of us, a lot of guys do like the Gen 5 triggers. There's a lot of new shooters out there. Me, Wick, we've all cut our teeth on Gen 3. You know what I mean? We're used to the wall, the snap, very two-stagey. That's why people love the Gen 5 triggers that I build, because I don't use that softer connector. I use the harsher 5.5 connector, which is at a 6-degree difference, more obtuse. So that's what this offers. Basically, it's going to be, I'm going to head around me here. It's going to be the same exact, it's going to be the same exact. It's got a little bit more pre-travel, but once again, in a combat weapon and a defensive weapon, you almost want that. But you can see, look, I'm not blowing through that. Let's try doing that with this, and I'm not actually putting any extra weight on there, but you go right through it. So what this gives you, like I said, it gives you that stout wall, and then from there, there's your break. When it resets, same thing, it doesn't move, so your reset is super. Look, like that is insane. That's literally insane. Now we tried to mess around with springs, like putting a 4-pound, putting a 4.5, a 5. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter when I do that with the VEX or the Glock Performance trigger, because it just ends up pulling 3 pounds every time, 3 pounds. But once you change the connector, and we're gonna do that. So someone was laughing about my shitty gauge, and I said, honestly, guys, look, yeah, I do have the digital one, but they're whatever, I don't know.
This one works great.
Yeah, this one works great. And you know what? We don't get it. I mean, like, I don't get whatever about poundage. You know what I mean? I go by feel. So yes, you have an objective parameter, which is the pound, which this thing is pulling, but how that translates to your finger as a shooter is two different things. And if you get too light, then your reset suffers. So there's all kind of plus and minuses. Everyone wants the latest, a lot of people want the latest break possible, and that's not an advantage in a lot of situations. So we're gonna do a pull test on this. And like last time, you say these things, man, they basically, well, that actually pulled a little heavier this time. It pulled 3.5. But these things are you know, they're usually spot on 3. And that just goes to show you they're from Glock to Glock to Glock, there's going to be differences. Look, 3.5 again. This is with the stock spring. The last video, like you saw, this is just in a different gun. The last video you saw, it was pulling at 3 all day long. So let's pull this again. 3.5, very consistent. So now we're going to move over to the VEX. And this is with the stock spring as well. So we're going to do a pull test here. Now that one is pulling to 3, but basically these guns were switched last time. That was the last time we did the video, and we did the pull test on that. So I'm going to do one more. Same thing, 3, and that's an OEM spring in there. So with the VEX, you know, just in this gun, I don't want to be like, oh, my trigger, you know, makes it a ½ pound less. It doesn't. It could be a little bit less. It could be a little bit heavier. But I'm doing this to show you, same thing with the VEX, very consistent 3 pounds every time. So now let's go to the Glock Performance trigger with the same VEX shoe, but this time we're using a plus connector. And you're going to see the difference here. So now I'm going to pull. It's breaking at 4.5 pounds. Just the change of that connector is doing that. Now, does it feel like, we're going to pull it again, does it feel like 4.5 pounds with that short of a break? Once again, 4.5 pounds completely on the number. Does it feel like 4.5 pounds? No. Are you going to be able to run this thing like a banshee with this type of reset? Yes, because the resets on these, because of that compression spring they're using, which is very much like the one that's inside here. We got this little thing. Compression spring they're using right inside of here. That is giving it a ton of forward force to get that to reset. People have asked in the other video, is it the same as stock? It's close. It really is. It's close. But you have to remember, if you're running like a refined trigger like mine with a 4.5 pound spring in there, your reset is not going to be as strong as if you had a 5.5 pound spring, because the reset is predicated on the striker. The stronger the striker spring is, the more tension you have moving forward. With this, because it's being held at a static, it doesn't really matter. You know what I mean? The tension for the reset is upon this part of the bar pushing it forward. Oh, another thing I wanted to show you guys. Before I forget here, safety wise for the VEX shoe, you can still see that we are more than enough, and we have tested the living daylights out of this. You can see that you are more than enough still in this hook right here that creates the safety. That bar is more than enough being captured by that. We've thrown this thing off the top of the build. I mean, we've done, you know, basically military grade tests. We've also run enough rounds through these that I can confidently say, you know, you can bet your life on them. So, you know, wouldn't just go putting something out and saying, hey, there's no testing or safety testing or function testing or anything like that done. They're 100% rock solid. So I did want to show you that the safety features are still engaged even with this minimized pre-travel. So
now, just as a little thing, the reason I keep pointing at the ceiling is per YouTube regulations, we cannot show taking the slide off or on or putting it back on the gun, otherwise the video gets pulled.
Okay. So all right. So now, if you want to purchase this, I'm going to show you an easy way to remove your, and I have a video on this, but I figured I'd just make it simple right here for you, how to remove a Glock shoe. It's very simple. You're going to take your 5/64 punch. I believe this is 5/64, or at least it should be. Yeah, 5/64. You are going to drop it on the trigger pin, the one that's exposed that you can see, the one that keeps the bar right there. Okay, I'm going to try to keep you at the same angle. And you don't want to come down on it like Thor. You just want to give it a couple little taps, because all you're trying to do is create a little demarcation right there. Are you getting that, Wick? See that little demarcation that created?
Right there.
Right. So once you get that demarcation, you can take a tool like this, and you're gonna need something hollow behind it, of course, because you're punching it through the other way. And you're just gonna set that on the demarcation. Okay, and then just a little crack or two. That's going to push it back out the way, and voila. So you still have this intact and good enough tack. When we resell some of these triggers like this, And actually, I'll hit that back down and then just look at that as far as cosmetics are concerned. You just have the littlest, smallest little dimple hole in there. Nice and flat. But what that does is that releases the bar. So then from there, you're going to be able to install this with, you know, make sure you're using definitely some blue Loctite, some 242 on there. Get that bad boy back in there. And you can do this, like I said, remember it's a pain in the butt to change this out. You can do this without taking it even off of the housing.
I don't know if we're allowed to show that.
All right, well, you can, yeah, we showed it the last video. So we even showed you how to put it back. So basically, if you do get in a pickle and you have to get this thing reinstalled because this came off, you have to make sure through this window that that spring is down. It's in a down position. Then you lock that in like that. And then there is a notch on there that looks like a, let me grab this. There's a notch on there that looks like this. Okay, it looks kind of like that. So what you want to do is stick this tool right there to grab it. And sometimes this works and sometimes it doesn't. Last time it was very quick, but you have to grab that part of the spring, and this is gonna be really hard for you to get wick, especially because my body's
that and there's not enough light down in there.
Not enough light. But anyway, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna capture that, and it is a pain, man. Trust me. See, even I'm having a little bit of a hard time doing this. So, but just for video, I'm gonna abandon this just for video sake, so I don't want this to be too long. That's how you're gonna, and I'll have another video, probably gonna have to be on Rumble, on how to install this and the things you can and can't do, or things you can do to enhance it and all that kind of great stuff. Kind of like I did with the Timney, but YouTube took that down immediately and now it's on Rumble. So yeah, this was basically a video. I wanted to show you guys a new product. It's live on the website. If you guys are interested in concealed carry, I cannot say enough, like the plus connector is the absolute way to go. You throw a plus connector on this setup and you are good to go, in my opinion, as far as a nice predictable stout wall. Yeah, and the proof is in the pudding. You can see all these different, why don't you show that again, with just the difference in the performance in these. It's night and day. So once again, Johnny at Johnny Glocks with an S, JohnnyGlocks.com is the website. Go check it out. It's going to be called here, let me pull it up for you guys so you can see. Oh, come on, man. Look, I can't even get my own website up. Rocks, trigger, shoe, we'll just go there. So basically we'll go to my site. I'm gonna go to triggers. And this is it right here, Glock Performance Trigger Shoe Upgrade. You click on there, and like I said, the only option you have is to add a connector, yes or no, thanks. That brings it to $130. It's $100 for the shoe. It's get out of here, man. You guys messing up my mojo. What is it, 7150? I forget the number of the aluminum. It's all listed there what it is. So yeah guys, that's about it. Like I said, I just wanted to get this information across to you guys as soon as I can. I see a lot of traffic, so a lot of new guys are probably coming to the channel. If this is your first time here, great, I'm glad. Check out the history, check out the videos, man. They're awesome videos on safety and modifications. Make sure you do a like, make sure you subscribe, and you guys are I'm gonna have to go with my end tag. Is that what you call it?
Well, hold on. Follow him on Instagram. We're about to do a really good giveaway on Instagram. You're gonna get a trigger, framework, a plate carrier, custom base plate, back plate, shirt, another shirt,
that's good.
A holster.
That's like a $1,500 giveaway
right now, and people keep adding to it. It's gonna be an awesome giveaway. So follow him on Instagram.
And I am shadow banned, I'm pretty sure, so you have to write out all of Johnny Glocks, and it'll be a picture of me with a kind of cowboy hat on. So yeah, like you're not going to find me really easily. Yeah. You know how they are with us Second Amendment people. Yep. So yeah, that's about it, man. I appreciate you guys watching the video, and you guys have a great rest of your day. And remember, trigger control is control.